All right, I am taking over this week on the White Star recap. Intrepid's been on a little bit of a break. Also, I was in this one, so I think I'll know exactly what's going on a little bit better than he might have. This week we played Therapiegruppe, which coincidentally you see us there. They're right actually next to us in the rankings, which, the rankings mean so much because they're so scientifically determined. But you see they also have 570. They're actually above us in relic count. If you think that's a better ranking than the mysterious influence ranking. But so should be, according to this, a closely matched game. But the actual experience of playing them, they weren't the best corp we ever played. Also definitely weren't the worst corp we ever played. Pretty average game. So I'm going to hop into it. So on the map, at least in my opinion, I thought that they had a slightly better spawn than us, just because the main reason is they have the P5, the planet level 5 here, which directly leads to their level 10. So it kind of creates a natural fallback position or push forward position depending on how the battle is going. And then for us on our side, it's just sort of like the P5 is almost equal distance to the P10 in a way that makes it feel like the only reason to even go to the P5 is if the enemy's putting pressure on the P10, which again is a little bit of an advantage for them. So we wanted the north. Also, we suspected that the enemy was going to want the south. So that turned out to be right. So I'm going to open up, start pushing forward on the timeline here. So I was on Hunter, and I was just looking to see where the assassins would go. So they go south. That's really going to be how the game opens up here, is with dealing with them. Our assassins, BB sends the interceptor over to the other side of the map, which is good. But in order to do that, he had to back up and reset, so he had his mods available. And so he gets out a little later. And then I thought we had another assassin in this game when we were deciding that move, but it looks like we actually didn't. So we don't have any assassins of our own really headed that way quite yet. And so we're really just responding to them at this point. So their assassins start out going south and then see me, myself, and Dante, as well as CMDR. All three of us went as Hunter, which is assassin hunters designed to kill assassins, basically. I actually probably would have preferred to have CMDR go assassin. For one thing, we only had one assassin, so it would have been nice to have two. Also, his battery's only 6, which I didn't realize, but it was all right. It all worked out. He gets some value out of that build anyway, even without having a multi-target gun. So they teleport north to try to get up and around us. And some of the guys from our teammates come down south. They have a pretty decent position, even though they're in the slower battleships, just because the assassins had to go all the way south and then cut all the way back up north, which I think is the highlight of the Hunter build. Isn't that every single time they kill the assassin, even though a lot of times they will, but they force the assassins to start being evasive earlier. And so you see that they had to cut up, lose a bunch of ground, and then they already are having to use their mods in order to get past us. So they've used both their teleports now. It's actually pretty dangerous here. These two assassins are actually pretty good. If not for these two assassins, this game would have been very, very easy, I think. This guy gets past me with the impulse as well. But I have the inside line on him, and I still have my teleport available, which he did not anymore. So I was able to use that to catch up. And this guy down here gets EMP'd. So he teleports up to try to get into better position. But I catch this guy who passed me with the barrier, so he's dead. And we also have rockets coming from the gate. And so since I know we have the rockets, I'm just going to let the rockets get the finish on that. And then this guy... I'm sorry, this guy didn't teleport to the gate. He destinied, and I get lucky enough to clean that up. I'll go back and show you that fight in a second where that guy destinied. So they're dead. The guy who teleported also dies there. And so let me go back and show you that fight where the guy destinied. I'm sorry. So it was the same guy, the same assassin. So he gets hit by the EMP and he's teleporting. And I guess instead of waiting on his teleport, he decides to instead to just destiny. I guess he didn't look how that was going. He probably could see that our supports were getting away before he was going to get there, and that I was probably going to kill him and hold him in barrier before he could do anything. So he destinies to put a little damage here on Dante. Actually, Dante just has a new shield ready. I don't think he actually hits then with the destiny. I think he just uses it to get out of there. But unlucky for him, he lands right in front of our gate. And we just finish him off with the combination of my gun and the rockets. All right. So this guy takes a super aggressive position at our level 10. He probably would have died if we just had somebody with a barrier up here. But these two don't have barrier, and neither does this assassin, who probably shouldn't use the barrier for that situation anyway. But he's able to back up and get out of there. We had a nice staggered move coming in, but he used barrier, which sort of lined them up and made it so that they couldn't really get the EMP on him. And then he falls back, not only because he's going to get killed, but also to try to stop our assassin's move. And I'm going to do like a thing. I'm starting to really feel that time warp is like an absolute necessity for assassins and assassin hunters. And you kind of see it in this fight here. He's getting into position a little slow. He gets caught by somebody who doesn't have Delta. Although I guess you both were in time warp. This is probably just a positioning thing on that. But it's just generally Delta by itself doesn't feel fast enough without being added to a time warp. So unless you have, you could piggyback off somebody else's time warp, but that takes more coordination, and I think that you'd have to have a really tight composition of other mods that you really, 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 really want in order to justify not having time warp. But anyway, so he gets into position here. It's pretty good position. He actually could have teleported a while ago. I think this happens in the night, this attack, so he wasn't able to adjust his decisions on the fly. But he gets kind of stuck here. Could have teleported sooner, and just barely here doesn't get any kills out of that move, but he does destiny out, which saves him. And I thought for sure he was going to die right here, because I think maybe the enemy doesn't realize how much of an advantage they actually have over here. So we have John with Omega. So his ship's pretty good. He's got a nice tanking ship. And BB just landed here at random, which they wouldn't have known about. But then we have Seven, who only has Delta Shield. We have iDrink, who has only a level 1 Omega and a mass battery, which isn't all that threatening to them. And then me, who again has another Delta Shield. So that they were actually pretty strong. They have Omega 4 and passive 6. Those are pretty good, like, team fighting shields plus area shield. So they really could have pushed and killed BB, I think. Let's see. Yeah, they also have an EMP and barrier and another EMP. And we had one barrier, one EMP. Okay, Seven's got both. That's good. Another EMP. It would have been a tough fight for them, but if they brought this guy plus the 3 guys to the north, they're in pretty good shape, I think, for finishing off BB before he can come back to life and start hurting them again, which is what happens. So I moved south because I see this guy has destroyed his own shield fighting Serbs, and that is not good for him. He also only has dual lasers, so if I 1 versus 1 him, he's not going to hurt me very much. And also, I really want to kill this miner. So even if he could beat me, if I could kill that miner, I would take that as a win, even if he killed me. But I'm going to come down and I'm going to Destiny as soon as I get this guy to 5,500 hit points is how much the Destiny does. So as soon as he's under that, I Destiny and kill him. And then up here, iDrink teleports in to start punishing this area shield. The area shield, I really do wish that we had that available on somebody, especially if somebody's like feeling a little casual and not really wanting to play hardcore on any given week, but they do want to play, and we need more people. Like, area shield's a great shield for that style of, like, I'm just gonna sit here and be valuable, but not actually input a lot of moves, because it makes assassins really have to work to get kills, and we'll see that here in a second. Because normally you just pop right in, you either force them to barrier to keep you away, but then that barrier is just going to run out because they're not close enough to create a barrier chain. So you just wait for the barrier to go away, or you get in before the barrier and you just teleport in and kill at will. It's really hard to protect against that when you're that far away from warp. But with the area shield, it's protecting all the things under here. And it really does take a group effort here to kill these supports. But you'll see here in a second, we actually do clean them all up, which is good. So we pound down the area shield finally, and then managed to get all these other little transports as well. And that hurts them really bad, because they didn't even get the gas to the planet, except for, I think this guy does land it. They hardly get any gas to this planet, so that sort of kills any hope for them of getting a decent number of relics out of this area. And we'll see that they shift their focus basically entirely to getting relics from their level 1. And they did get 7 built up there, which is pretty good. I'm going to do like a little debrief at the end where I talk about like the value of this level 1 and how I think we should play maps like this, because the level 5 and level 10 are so far away and so hard to defend, and there's so much gas on the map now. I really think the value of the level 1 is extremely important now that I'm seeing it in action. But I'll talk about that more at the end after this breakdown. So back up here, I'm not really sure why this guy is teleporting. Their assassins come back into the game way faster than I expected. Because I killed both of them, right? And then I was right by warp, so I warped out, and when I came back, I came down south and I got that kill. And then when I destinied, I landed back up here again, luckily, and just popped right out again and reset my mods again. But by that time, the assassins were already back, which I didn't think they would be back this fast. And so by the time they get back, I'm not in position to really to kill them or to force them to take evasive maneuvers. So they actually do get in over here and kill some of our stuff. But the big difference between their assassins and our attack on their level 5, level 10 is that we killed their gas before they managed to get the gas there. So while they do get the kills were a lot less valuable. So this guy comes down. He actually does get these miners. Gets 2 miners there. And then they come north. Again, I think it was either nighttime or we were just having a hard time getting a hold of the people controlling these trans. So we weren't able to get them away. And I don't know if they would have been able to get away anyway, even if we did. But the assassins hurt us pretty bad here. But again, not nearly as bad as we hurt them. Because we have our relics built up. And we do have the supports available and the time on the clock in order to come back out and just make another run. And then we go ahead and just kill that assassin now that he's used all of his stuff. And then Dante and I kind of push up to try to put pressure up on their front line and make some space for these transports we have coming in. Down south, we're not really that interested in what they're doing down south. But you see CMDR is still alive down here. They never killed him. So he just go ahead and just teleports in. Because they just kind of let him... not that they let him. I mean, they did kind of put some pressure on him, but just not in a very effective way. So he just teleports in and cleans this up. They put the EMP on him before he could kill anything, though. Oh, no, that was his EMP. So what he does here is he... it looks like he... Yeah, because he's down here landing shots, we have BB who loves his leap. Come in and he leaps in. I think he was headed in he was over in this area. As soon as CMDR starts shooting, he activates that leap and comes in with Destiny. And I guess he's trying to beat up that area shield first before he does it, because if he does it too soon, the area shield will eat a lot of that Destiny, and he might not get the trans kill, which is what he's looking for. And then they also, I don't know how, again, they allow CMDR to scooch out of that fight. I don't know why. They had barrier. They could have held him there. I don't know what those guys were doing. But they let CMDR get away from the planet, which lets him get the kill on that last trans. And then he just continues. He gets another shield right there. He's just hanging on by a thread. Um, and then Very just kind of comes in to, I don't know, just comes in to beat him up a little more, add insult to injury. But I think this miner doesn't get killed here. Let's take a look. Yeah. So Very notices that there's not a lot else to win there, so backs up, and as CMDR does as well. But again, they just let these guys live. Again, they just let CMDR get away. They let Very get away. And you might think like, well, they're almost dead. What are they gonna do? But we'll show you later. They actually, I'm not sure about CMDR if he does anything else big later, but Very actually kills one of the most important attacks of the game in just a minute. So Dante and I try to put pressure up here. I don't want to back up again to show you the whole thing. Basically, not a lot happened. He and I kind of camped out on these two asteroids, hoping to look for an opportunity to attack, but it didn't really present itself. Dante didn't have teleport, and I don't have a multi-targeting gun. I do have Destiny. Yeah, no, I don't think it's worth watching. I'm sure there was some reason that we couldn't really create a very successful attack there, and largely because of this barrier. So one of the big things that makes this level 1 freaking insanely hard to attack is barrier. So because barrier lasts so long and has no cons, has no negative aspects to it like EMP does, you can just create like an impenetrable bubble that can never go down, because as soon as yours goes down, there's like 10 other people here that can just add a new barrier and create a new perfect shield to create essentially a little perfect bubble for you to live in, and freely move back and forth from the level 1 to the warp. So we could have put pressure. I could have like tried to charge the barrier and like hope to create a hole in it by like applying my time warp and upsetting the timing, but I didn't think that was worth it, since we probably will win as long as we can fend off the next attack that's coming at us. So I just back up, and then I think during the night we got attacked, and they came out and killed Dante, who was right here. But Dante didn't have his teleport. There wasn't a whole lot he could have done anyway. The only transports or any support at all really available for him to kill is this one miner down here, who isn't even mining. So there was not a lot he could do, especially without teleport, to hope to try to kill anything. So that was okay. We could afford to lose Dante there, and I back up because I really don't want the assassins to come out, which here they finally are, coming out again to hurt us, and then me having died or gotten stuck in the barrier, not really achieving anything. This guy here tries to cut through the middle, but sort of put out the alert to not worry too much about this guy, because he doesn't have his teleport available for over a day and a half. So he also doesn't have barrier. He doesn't really have anything he can do to create a problem for us for this whole time that he's traveling. All we have to do is just kind of avoid him. So he's just kind of floating through space, and we'll just let him float through space if that's what he wants to do. When he gets over here, then we'll deal with him. But until then, we didn't need to like panic and like have everybody try to kill him or back off the level 10. So our relic harvesting is going well. We're gonna get, it looks like 4 from these guys up here. I can only hold 3, and then John gets 3 or 4. He had to make a little extra southward trip since there weren't enough relics at the level 5 for him. And then the assassins come out. So Basically, the whole end of the game right here boils down to their entire team like just trying to soar across the map and and kill us here at the end before we can get our relics home. Because what happens is that they have enough relics from this level 1 only to beat us because they had more gas on their level 1 than we did. So even though we fully cleared our level 1 as well, we needed to score more than just that level 1. Otherwise, they were going to win. But we're in good. We have the relics on the transports to do that. We just have to be able to get them home. And their entire team in a full court press is going to try to see to it that we don't do that. So we start strategically backing up. This assassin really puts a little pressure on, but really they just continue to barrier, like I said. So they had this guy barely survive down here. I wish we had killed him because I wish we had killed him earlier back down when we had the chance down here on the roids. But he gets this shot here, which we really didn't see coming, and probably should have. He was moving from these roids down here up to the level 1. And we were more focused in protecting this area around the level 1 and the warp. It didn't really, at least to me, it didn't really occur to me that he could get up that far north. And he probably should have waited a tad longer. Maybe he thought Ugly was going to bounce back off and just kill him before he could execute the teleport. But if he had waited this little bit of extra distance so that he would have been close to Very, but I don't know. I don't know if it was possible, but we definitely didn't see this coming, or I didn't anyway. And if these transports were just a little bit further, so that it's a good distance further, but if they were in his range, by the time that his teleport lands, let's see when it lands. Oh yeah, that actually was super close because he gets his teleport off first. So because he teleports first, if the transports are in range, Very wouldn't have been able to stop him because he gets to act first before Very, because Very wouldn't even exist yet on that spot. And we would have lost right there. But thankfully for us, he teleports a little too soon, and Very, with like 1,000 hit points combined between his shield and his hull, wins in this 1 versus 1 fight against this guy who was also almost dead. That was really the last big threat that we had. Sadie and I gum up their assassins here before they can get close, and they had big teleports, so we had to keep them away. This guy uses his teleport to get north, which, I mean, he should have just flown north and saved his teleport, even though the travel time would have been a little more, because once his teleport's gone, his threat is gone. He no longer even really needed to worry about him. This guy as well has no teleport. This guy is that same guy from the earlier, still floating through space. Still a day on his teleport. This guy doesn't have teleport. So all the real teleport threats are gone. And we just need to keep the barrier up so that even once these guys get through, like this guy has impulse 6, which is going to get him some good distance. We needed to make sure that we had enough barrier up in order to keep them away. We still had a lot of asteroids left here, so it was actually a little bit challenging to coordinate how to keep enough level 5 or higher barriers out, or use multiple lower level barriers, because we only have so many people in the guild with level 5. But we got it there, and it was just a matter of those relics coming home to score. And that was the game right there. It was yeah, I mean, really, we could have lost on that teleport right at the end, and that would have been crushing, because it really felt like we were winning every single fight. But we had all our eggs in one basket right there, so it only takes one fight if all your eggs are in one basket. But yeah, overall, it was a good game. Not our hardest, definitely not our easiest, though, either. And there's some so that's really all I had to say about that game. But now I'm going to go into some of my ideas for future games. And it really has to do with the level ones. It really has to do with the level ones and their value, because they're so easy to defend. You actually maybe one battleship with area shield or blast shield maybe, but really you don't even need that. The barrier is such a perfect defensive tool that no one is really ever going to be able to penetrate that. Like, we could just allow assassins to fly right up to us and not have to worry at all about like chasing them, if the only thing we're worried about is moving things back and forth from the level 1 to the warp. Obviously, we have to give our miners enough time to get the gas onto the planet, so it's not perfect in that sense, but as long as we can do that, as long as we can get the time to the miners in order to make the gas get there, we get less value out of the gas, obviously, because it's only level 1. But there's so much gas on the map, and our miners are very well teched out, so they actually are harvesting the gas pretty fast. I'm not that concerned about it. We scored 21 in this game, and look at how many relics we left on the board up here. That's a lot of gas. If we just put that on the level 1, we would have even scored more, because there's just no way to and at least maybe once we get a lot of dispatch up high level, it will become more realistic to get transports out that far and then hope to actually bring them home in a fast enough pattern or frequency in order to make it worth it. To actually fight and try to defend that stuff from assassins. But as it is now, though, without having a lot of dispatch, and not every map is like this, so a lot of times the level 5 is much closer, and on those maps I definitely see more value in the level 5. But even the level 10, though, is just so it's so hard to defend that it's just hard to justify putting this much gas on it and hoping to get that many relics out of it. It makes for more exciting games like this one, where we have to like play up to like the very end and like really figure out how to win every single fight. But I really feel like we should just make it easy on ourselves and get a lot of relics out of this level 1, and create like an easy baseline. That's so like we're gonna get like 15 relics or something crazy out of the level 1. Let's just say we get 10. Like, they got 7, and we killed a bunch of their gas, so we could easily get 10 out of the level 1, and then have maybe 1 or 2 rounds of gas go to the level 5 or the level 10, and just score a ton off the level 1, and then get extra value out of the gas that went to the level 5 or the level 10. And then because we got so much, because we don't have to defend the level 1, and we only sort of have to defend either the level 5 or the level 10, enough to get like maybe one round of transports there whenever it feels safe. Because the defense becomes so easy, we can go really bonkers on mobilizing mobilizing an attack. And I have some ideas on how to beat barrier that we haven't been pressured with, really. So I'm not really that concerned about beating it quite yet. I'm going to do a whole separate video on how to break barrier, the barrier bubble. But I think that there's some stuff we can do to try to kill their level 1. Also, if we're laying down this baseline of a high score just from our level 1, they're going to have to get a lot of scoring out of their level 5 and their level 10 in order to beat our baseline score. Because unless they do the same thing, unless they also really level up their level 1, they're going to have to get every single relic that they generated on their level 5 and level 10. And we can do a lot. Like even in this game where we only had one true assassin, we did a lot of damage to their level 5 and their level 10. And just imagine how much more damage we could do if we didn't have to worry about our backfield so much. At least once the miners are done doing their thing. But yeah, that's what I'm thinking on that. And that's really, I guess all I had to say about that. So look forward to, I'm going to call it an assassin video on this thing on breaking barrier. But really it's going to be a lot about bond. And I think bond is really going to be the trick to getting through this barrier. So look forward to that. And I hope you enjoy this recap. Have a good one.